Everybody else can hear what your comment, what your experience, what your question might be.
Thank you.
Oh,
Before I start, I'm filming, so if no one wants to be filmed, let me know. This is for my documentary that's going on with my book down right. So I'm trying to do some promotional things at the same time as I'm doing this. So. My name is Aki. A few faces I remember from last week, a few people I do know personally. So it's going to be a beautiful thing for him to hear this. But my name is Aki, and I came to Discussions with Encounter through Shannon Price. Me and Shannon met a while ago when I was a campaign manager for Mary Gaines, and she was helping Mary Gaines on her campaign, and she did her doctrine on me. So me and her became real close after that, because she seen my story and my struggles, and actually at the time what I was going through. So pretty much what I've been doing with her help, I've been going around to like high schools and different groups and community centers and libraries, and I've been going around and I'm speaking about my struggle and my book, and I'm trying to show people how I was the one that you guys are scared of. I was the terror in the neighborhood. I was the nuisance in the neighborhood. I was the one you was calling the police on, who was doing things outside of your homes. I was the one that was helping bring your property value down. I was the ones that destroyed the neighborhood. But now, I'm the one bringing back to the neighborhood because I'm building companies, businesses. I'm showing people that's like me other ways to go about it. But I need people like you to help me support this so I can help them and show them something different. Because there's a fear out there. It's a fear of the unknown. People want to know why the little kids out there doing things they're doing right now. It's because the fear of the unknown. They don't know what's on the other side. They don't understand God. They don't understand life. They don't understand struggles. And guess what? 80% of their moms and fathers don't either, because they're my ages. And people my age are the ones that's raising the next group of kids. And this is where the problem lies in that, because we was abused. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My mom was pretty much a drug addict. And what we call in the streets, she was a dope fiend. Her whole mission was to put a needle in her arm and stay high. Her mission was not to take care of me, but I had a grandfather, and I had a grandfather, like many black stories in this world. My grandfather raised me. My mom was there, but my grandfather raised me. But in the midst of all this, everyone in my family was involved in some type of criminal activity. The transport of heroin, pretty much. And I was exposed to this at a young age. This is all I seen. Every day of my life was something wrong. I was never told nothing right. But when I went to school, I was shown something right. So I had two lives I was living. I was a valedictorian, top of my class, graduated top of my class in Detroit, Michigan, 93. But at the same time, thank you. But at the same time, when I left school, I had to go home and sell drugs to take care of myself. It's a twist to everybody's story. It's a twist to every man's story. And this is my story. As I was growing up as a youth, I seen a lot of destruction in Detroit. Back in the 80s, it was one of the murder capitals of the world. I could walk down the street and see somebody shot. And at the same time, I come in the house and see somebody shot in my own home. This is the things that we are having a problem with in our communities, when we scared to really tell the truth. You know, we scared of what the outsiders and people on the outside are going to say. So what I did in my book, I did 3 parts. Jerome. Jerome was my birth name. I was born Jerome Little. When I was incarcerated for attempted murder at the age of 18, I found myself and I changed my name to Jahid. Now you guys know me as Aki because later on, years later, I ended up adopting a stage name which became my promotion set name, and I became probably one of the top 5 promoters in the city of Minneapolis. We're promoting acts, concerts, events. I do music videos, graphic designs, and now I'm venturing in books and stuff like that. So I did my book in 3 parts to show what I went through, when I was incarcerated, and the struggle that I went through even after I got out of prison, tried to build me an organization. I had to go back to the streets to try to keep my positive organization going. Because grants and loans and handouts wasn't available anymore. There wasn't an avenue for someone like me who didn't have grant writers, and I ended up having grant writers. I had everything I needed, and they still told me no. So I wanted to put it in a book and document it. I want to show the world every bit and piece and part of what I went through. Even when I went through the struggles with Mary Gaines and going through office, and I seen some stuff I've never seen in my life. I seen the dividing of our communities. I seen how the youth came out for us, but the older community wouldn't. So there's a divide. It's a bigger divide in this country. It's not just black and white. It's not just those who do crime and don't do crime. There's the division between the young and the old. There's a division between the educated and the uneducated. There's a division between the ones who's poor and not poor. It's all about what one you want to tackle. What do I want to tackle? The heart. Because that's the only thing that saved me was my heart and my vision. Even to this day, when they told me no, I should have stopped, but I couldn't stop because I had so many people depending on me in my mind. So I kept going. I said, I know how to do this. And I turned back and got myself in trouble. And actually, Mr. Bradford helped me. He helped me. He came and he helped me. He helped me get less time so that I could come back out here and tell my story and get back on track. But people have to believe in each other, and that's what this book is about. What I want to do real quick is just read a page or two, just to give you kind of like an insight of what the book is about, and then I'm gonna open it up for discussion. I didn't want to, carry on and move on. What I want to do, I just really want people to get to know me and get to know what I'm doing, because it's a movement that I'm trying to create here. And the movement is called Last Chance. It's called Last Chance Enterprises. And it's for all the individuals like myself, maybe not like you, but like myself, who have felonies, convictions, and we got all these organizations that say they can help them, but they really know how to help them, because it's not the physical they need, it's the spiritual they need. And they need to have people stand behind them until they can do it. So this is what my movement is about, the last chance. If you had any other opportunity in your life, you was the last person on earth, this is your last chance, what are you gonna do? And that's how I live my life now. I'm the last person on this earth, and I gotta save society, and what I'm gonna do. And this is my way of starting. My book is called The Apple Don't Fall Too Far from the Tree. Why did I name it that? Because the apple don't fall too far from the tree. I was raised around drugs, crime, and confusion. But at the same time, I also was raised around love, nurturing, and education. That was pushed on me very hard at a young age. So what I did was, I told my story. I spoke so many times in so many places. People always ask me, you should write a book, you should write a book. I don't want, it's nothing. But when I got incarcerated this last time, I was in boot camp, and I really was examining my life from going from being with superstar entertainers, being hired by big entertainment companies, going all across the world, traveling with artists and doing all these type of things, and brought me right back to my predicament in the cell. And I had to sit back, I had to think, what did I do wrong? Because I had what I wanted. I had what I wanted, I thought. And that really wasn't what I wanted. I was chasing the wrong thing even then. But God gave me another chance. And this is my chance. I don't want to be in front of people. I just want my book to speak for itself. So I'm going to read a couple pages. This is part one, and this part one is called Jerome, which is my old name. 36 months is to be served in the Department of Corrections, the judge rumbled. Also, Mr. Matthews, inform your client that if he catches another weapons charge, he will receive 60 months maximum. It was a break because of the work he's done in the community up to this point. This quote moved around repeatedly in my mind as the transport officer began his process of chaining me up to be transported to St. Cloud Penitentiary. The sounds of the chains was numbing to my ears. The thoughts of going back to prison after 9 years of freedom was unbelievable. How did I get back to this? All the years I worked to build a different life. The time I spent with different community leaders, superstar recording artists, working on political campaigns, flying in and out of state, pushing my entertainment company, plus all the TV and radio appearances. From it all to come to this, I thought I was being a good father and a safe hustler. If there was any such thing, now I'm going back to the bus, back to the humiliation, back to where I became a man. where I lost so much more, also back to the nightmare. I cannot believe this. Abdul Malik, the deputy barked at the sounds awakening me from my daydream. Your hands, please. I raised my hands to him in a dead motion. I felt dead inside as he handcuffed my hands with his handcuffs and then skillfully ran the chain around my waist. Then he cuffed my leg chains around my spreaded ankles. I looked up at the other men who were also going to do their time, each person with different sentences and different crimes, but all the same ending, back to prison. Was this the reality that has become my life? Every time I get so close to my dreams, I become forcibly removed. The gloomy burgundy walls of Hennepin County Jail, where I spent 4 months fighting my weapons possession charge, is more gloomy than before. There's an evil in my soul that I did not have before. In some ways, I would miss it here. At least I had a fighting chance of freedom. Now there is none. I feel as if everybody is laughing at me. It is as if I can read the deputies' minds. They're all saying, I told you you'll be back. The pinchings of the cuffs around my ankles awoke me to a new but old reality. I'm going back to prison again. It has been 8 years, 10 months since I've been in anybody's prison, county jail, or anything of the likes. I know so much has changed, but this pain is so very old. Repeatedly in my mind, I have given thoughts to my son, who has never been without me, then to my loved ones who have grown to need and want me, as I have them. Thoughts to my entertainment company, Brickboy 2.2, that I helped build with my own clever mind, and with the same hustle which has landed me here. The relationship I've matured now all gone for at least 20 months. Much different than this 19-year-old boy with a 110-month sentence with nothing to lose. Now I'm a 33-year-old man with a life to lose. Okay, let's move, gentlemen. Straight through these here doors, your ride awaits you, proclaimed the transport officer. As I walked behind the other 15 men out of the place that it was home, or should I say confinement, into a cold breeze of a county parking lot garage of one of the police cars and detective units, with this massive Greyhound with its colors blue and gray. The windows had bars on them to prevent any escape. 16 men with limited movement of our bodies climbed into this huge bus and built for transporting some of the state's hardened criminals. Nevertheless, I didn't feel like this. I felt like I wanted to cry out to someone, to anyone, but who would listen? But who? Now find yourselves a seat and we will arrive at St. Cloud shortly, as he slammed the steel cage that separated us from them in any type of uprising. At that moment, I rested in my mind, I had returned. As I turned my face to the window, the coach exited the parking garage onto the downtown streets of Minneapolis. Those same streets I walked down almost every day. I wanted if I could have, but I didn't. I took it for granted. And now I miss it. I watched my reflection. I looked at my beard and full of gray speckles. My light skin seemed so dull because of the lack of sunshine for months. My hair was bushy from having no comb to comb it. For the first time, I could see how much I aged, how the stress of trying to gain has taken its toll on me. However, in my mind, I still play the old same sad song. Where and how did I go wrong? How can a man go from so high to so low? Will my son be affected as if I was when my mother had went to prison when I was young, removed from my life? Then at that very moment, the memories flooded back in my mind. I can remember it like yesterday. I did not know what was going on or why my mother was selling everything in the house. I was too young to understand it all, but I remember one listening to her on the phone with my tender ages. Yeah, the DEA ran into the bathroom and grabbed the drugs out of me, girl. She was waving her finger and pulling the cord. Yeah, she bust right into the bathroom and ripped the wrapper up to me while I was using it. She paused for a second. Yeah, they must have been watching me, she paused. You know, I was messing around with my dummy brother, trying to make a little extra cash. Some stupid stuff, girl. I got lucky because the judge only gave me 36 months. I could have got a lot more. Yeah, he gave me a month to get my stuff together. She paused for a moment. Lawrence and Darren are still locked up for stealing cars. So I don't have to worry about them, just Jerome. They'll be coming down once they get out. My mother preached into the phone as she packed all our belongings in boxes. He's flying out in a few days, which gives me a few days to do some partying. I don't know. He will be staying with my grandfather or Dennis in Inkster, but Ma and Jan and the kids stay in Detroit. So I don't know. But let me call you later. I watched as she hung up the phone. Thinking back to those days that transformed me into the person that I am today. Listening to my mother talk about sending me away to a bunch of people that I had no clue of or who they were. Only my grandfather who would come by and visit me when he was on his way to Las Vegas. But later on in my life, he would become the only father I would ever meet. However, as a young child, my only concern was my mother's flight. It wasn't even my mother's flight. It was my treehouse and my next door neighbor and my best friend Shine. And last but not least was my toys. For the first time in my life, I was getting a taste of real life on its terms. Before the years in prison, before all the money and the clothes, I watched my mother reorganize our lives in California, my birthplace. My mother was an independent woman before I knew what that meant. Her presence was of a giant in my little eyes. For a woman, she was 5'9", with strong shoulders, mild dark complexion, with a voice that would scare the dead. I remember a lot of times she would place me on the back of her bike and roll me through the streets of Los Angeles in my child safety seat to some of the local bars so I could watch her play pool, something that she was very good at. I would sit on a bar stool inside these dimly lit, smoke-filled places, receiving cans of Coca-Cola and sour cream potato chips from my mother's friends, which she had plenty of them to sing, which was friends, I mean. And before they left my presence, they would pinch me on my cheeks. I watched my mother with so much grace beat player after player. It made me feel like a lot of joy inside of me. The way she played reminded me of one of those great Chicago steppers, stepping and moving her way around a brightly light green pool table. The only time in my youth I would see a smile on her face. I could tell she was very good at it. Later on, I found out she was a semi-pro player, but to me she was a superstar. One day I walked into the living room outside eating my normal dose of ice cream and watched my mother packing up our belongings. In one of the bedrooms of our 3-bedroom house, I interrupted her crying to herself. When she noticed me, she quickly shielded her emotions so I wouldn't see her weakness. Her being a strong woman, showing her weak side to me wouldn't do me no good at that age. Gwen, which is what I called her. Why are you going away, I asked her, looking into her eyes. Well, you're going to be moving with your grandfather for a little while. She was touching my small head. I have to go away for a bit. But what about my stuff and Sean? Well, you will get new toys and friends. Sometimes you go through things like this. Why are you not coming with me? I asked her as I lowered my head. Like I said, I have to go away for a while. I won't be gone for long. I'll be flying by myself, I said as I sat down with a sadness in. Yeah, but there's 9 people there with you, so don't you worry about it. What about Lawrence and Darren? They'll come later. Now go inside and play before go outside and play before it gets too dark. As she turned me and began to pack again. That was about as much emotion as I would get out of her. She wasn't a loving type of mother. I cannot recall her ever being that type. Not Gwen. When she asked me and my brothers to call her. Sometimes I never knew why, but something I just did. She was tough as nails. She would not let no one or nothing break her. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. And I'm gonna stop there. Thank you. Just even reading that, it brings back memories, and that's the beginning of the story. So you can just imagine how far it goes. And the reason why I bring it to individuals like this group is because this book, I've let about 20 people read it, from doctors, lawyers, professional people, and they all tell me the same thing. This book should be somewhere where it's helping somebody. Because what it does is, like the individuals that was here last week, talking about juvenilism, and this is how it starts. It starts from the child seeing, then reacting. It depends on what he sees. It can be interrupted. You know, I'm not saying everybody that grew up with me became a criminal or something like that, but I did a poll when I went home, and out of 18 childhood friends, there's only 8 of us still alive. 3 of us free, 2 walking, and the other one in a wheelchair. So there's only 2 of us that's up and right. The rest of them either laying in the buckets by cell or dead. And it's all from my neighborhood of all single mothers struggling. So it's not a story to like make people feel sad or down. It's a story of recognition. If you live in your little homes, in your little world, you need to get out and recognize what's going on around us. Because if you want your homes to stay safe, then we need to reach people like me before they become me. I am the aftermath, but we need to be the before. There's a solution to this problem. Everyone want to talk about it, but there's a solution. The solution is, and I don't know if I'm the first one to ever say this, get up and do something. That's the solution. Just that simple. And I learned that through my trials. I've been on both sides of the fence at the same time. It was times that I'll be sitting talking to the chief of police, the mayor, and then an hour later, I gotta go to the community and talk to the little guy that's in front of my house selling drugs that look up to me. This is the dilemma that I had to face. I couldn't turn my back on them either. But the mayor and the chief of police are scared to come talk to them. This is the life that we're living. We can't close our eyes to these things. And if giving me your email address so I can inform you of events or this and that, or you pushing like on Facebook, or you let somebody else know, I met this interesting young brother, but I ain't young no more, but I met this interesting young brother, and he did, just passing the word on helps. It's the littlest things. You know, I'm going to do something different since it's a technology world. My book only going to be offered online because I'm going to create a site. There's going to be other people like me, and they're going to be able to tell their stories. They'll be able to tell their struggles. They'll be able to tell their connection. We'll be able to connect in this place. Not like Facebook, we all talk about gossip and garbage. No, we're going to be able to connect in this place. Along with the book is also going to be a CD because I'm also in the music industry. I produce, I manage. So it gives me an opportunity to tell their stories through my thing. I'm also going to have a book tour and and I do autographics. So it's a way to show the world that just because I once was the deterrent, I once was that guy on the corner with my pants sagging, I once was that guy running from your house, probably with your TV. Maybe. I have no regrets though. You know why I don't have no regrets? Because it taught me what I am today. And I might be able to save 10 lives from my ruined life. And that's how I see it. I used to be a Muslim. Now I just believe in spirituality. Why? Because even in Islam I found wrong. Just like I found in anything, it's about faith. Not blind faith, but faith. And I have a faith in this. And I really believe that it's time that we all just do something different. Step out of the norm and do something different. And with that, I say thank you for your time, your effort. You can see me every week because I love these discussions. This is what I love. This is what I want to be about. So this will be the last time you see me. And when the book comes, we'll get all you guys and whoever got a copy. It's on video, so I can't lie. So thank you. If y'all have discussion. I want to do that.
Questions, comments? Okay. Brother Burgess,
I just wanted to know what part of Detroit did you come from? West side, east side?
West side.
Yeah, I used to live on the east side myself, Mount Ellen and Max, so I kind of understand your story. I also lived out on Grand River, you know, in that area. So I kind of know your story, and I understand where you're coming from, and I can understand how you got there. You missed 4,000 Cooper Street for the clouds, so gotcha.
Yeah, my mom used to hang out. My mom used to hang out on the west side, the east side, off of Mac. You know, all the heroin was sold off of Mac. And she would have me sit in the car. I used to sit in the car with my mom while she went to go cop her drugs. And I would have to, I watched. You know, she had no babysitter, so I had to watch. So, yeah, you know, Detroit was tough. Heroin City, tough. If you survive Detroit, you can survive anywhere.
yes.
Well, first, I just want to thank you for you sharing your story. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all of us did. You know, it's especially helpful coming from someone who's been there and done that as you reach young people, because many of us in this room have tried to reach younger people, and we just can't seem to reach them. And I think many of us want to do something, but we don't know exactly what to do as it relates to helping young brothers. I have been so concerned about something that, not the robbing and the stealing maybe, but just about how they wear their pants. To me, it's so degrading. And I am, as a black woman and mother, am so embarrassed by that. And you know, if black women can't make their own kids pull up their pants, who can? And you know, I don't know where the, you know, because many of these kids are in homes with the single black mother. And of course, a lot of that, we talk about education. We've shared with young black men why the men in prison, their pants were drooping, they couldn't have belts. We've given them all that information. But the rock stars and the other folks, they just perpetuate that type of behavior. But even the rock stars, when they go in to have their business meetings, they put on a suit and they pull up their pants. But these young brothers don't. And first I thought it was something that was going to go away, but it seems to me that it's becoming more entwined and entwined. And in fact, other groups are following that. And I'm just wondering, where are we going with that? Is it possible to have a grassroots effort that would at least have them pull up their pants, and then, you know, we want to stop crying and all the rest of it, but to feel good about themselves and understanding how degrading that is, and what can we do about that? Let's lowball the crime and drugs and all the rest of it.
Well, actually, my generation started that. I heard about the penitentiary thing, like when I got to the penitentiary about that. And actually, I've never seen that. I've seen the articles about it, but this is the thing I say. Let's pull their minds up. Because once we pull their minds up, then they'll automatically know how to dress. See, it's the educational portion, it's the cultural, it's being exposed to other things. Like myself, I've never been fishing. I've never been to a ball. I've never been to some place where I had to wear a suit. I never owned a suit, except for a funeral. So it's not, I don't think it's necessarily, I think it's more of an eyesore for us as a black community, but they're not even thinking about that. Because it's just, to them, it's just fashion, in a sense. So it's kind of like, we have to kind of like enlighten them first, and then once we enlighten them, because now I put my pants up, but I had to understand what it meant to be clean and neat and presentable first. It's hard to know that when you're fighting just to get another meal. You know, you might only got 4 pair of pants, they might have been your brothers and they wasn't too big anyway. But now they wear them tight and skinny.
Just to support what you're saying, Aki, the Brotherhood, which you heard the young men's stories last time, when they had their fundraiser, Nakima and Phelan, who run the organization, had them go to Dress for Success, and they got them each 3 suits. And the young men came in their suits. And first of all, of course, we went up to them and said, "Man, you clean up good." They said the same to me because they hadn't seen me in a suit either. But the difference in just the way they carried themselves, the way they talked, the way they obviously felt, you could just see it in their faces. And they were just elated to have that suit and to feel what they felt like in that suit.
I'm a little bit older than the brother over there. I've been around a little bit more. I've been around the block probably more times than he has. Young man doing good work. But let me say this to you. That fashion that you see came out of the penitentiary. That used to be the way the gay population wore their pants to advertise their wares in the penitentiary. And then you had the gay, I don't want to ostracize the gay community, but the gay community was on an agenda because they were the one that was producing the music and so forth and so on and so on and setting the styles and the fashions, okay? And that was what was brought to the young apple, such a male, period. because it was a part of the street culture from the prison system, okay? And that's how they started wearing their pants down low like that. And I don't think the young ones that are not gay don't realize what they're advertising. I think it's up to us, the older ones, to tell them, are you representing them? Is that how you represent? Because they're thinking that they're representing something else. And I'm an Afrocentric male, and I wouldn't hire one that would come into my company wearing his pants like that. So it's not racism, but it is a cultural thing that came out of the prison system.
But listen, if you think about it, if you think about this, right? There's an attack on our youth by the media. When I was young, when the Fab Five, when Michael Jordan was playing ball, he wore tight shorts. Isaiah Thomas, Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they all wore tight shirts. The clothing was from bell bottoms. I was born in '75, so I kind of transitioned out of the bell bottoms and butterfly collar. Probably if I had that on, my mom put it on me. But you know, we transcend. What happened was the media became more explosive during the '80s, and then crack came in. And then they opened the penitentiaries up and let everybody out. And then it took off. And it wasn't my people, let's move, freedom walk. It was, I don't care who's walking in my way, I'm gonna move you out my way, I'm gonna get this. It wasn't about any of that any longer. We didn't care nothing about, I'm being honest with you, and this is discussions from people my age at this time, we didn't care nothing about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, none of that. We didn't care. We had to go get it. You know why? Because the media, the TV, everything around us told us that if you wanted a piece of the pie, let's go with the slogans, the methodology that we got out here. The grass is greener on the other side. The great apple pie. The white picket fence. Commercials showing us people, JCPenney's, everybody running around with clean clothes, and JCPenney's running around, Sears, clean wash machines, nice this and that. The media told us that to be anybody, you had to have some money. And that's what we did. But it backfired, but we did it with a vengeance. We didn't care because something came to the community called crack and guns. And you put two things together with no sense, that's why it was all these deaths. So, yeah, it really, we didn't understand, we just was dressing, we didn't know.
Well, in one sense, the prison culture was influencing the rappers and others because on some of the old rap records, if you look at them, they got the watch cap, denim jeans, denim shirt, looks just like prison attire, and a lot of people out in the community started dressing just like that, without realizing that this is what it really is. But moreover, a lot of the sayings that Malcolm might have said, by any means necessary, prison people picked it up, and they said, it don't matter, by any means necessary, and they were using something that he had. They switched it entirely around. Those that went in with no religion, no thought of all, and began to think about, when I'm going to get something out of this, I'm going to learn something from this. They took what Malcolm did, and they began to read, began to do some things, but they didn't give it the solid background and underpinning that Malcolm gave. Some became Muslims. They didn't know. A lot of them went in that didn't know what a Muslim was. They thought of them as those guys that stand out on the corner, sell papers, and wear bow ties. But once inside, with all of the tricks and traps in there, they said, "Wait a minute! I don't want to be a gangbanger. I don't want to be this. I don't want to go to the Christian churches. I'm going to be a Muslim." So they, became a Muslim. They became a part of a group. And Muslims protect you. They make sure that nothing happened to their own. So if you were dealing with the, the Mexican mafia, the white supremacists, and the BGF in California, Black Guerrilla Family, all of those kinds of things, you didn't have to worry about them because they knew who your set was. It was a Muslim. But when they came out, a lot of them, it was a different story. They fell off the wagon, they went the other way, and they didn't wear the bow tie, didn't do the things that they did inside. It's different. And that's why those that came out and when hip hop started wearing it pants down to the knees, they just got silly with it, carried it all the way down, really low. But I'm glad that, an organization like yours is really laying it out there, because there's a lot of young guys don't know, anything about that.
It's funny that you say that, because that's what happened when you get to the penitentiary. When I got to the penitentiary when I was 18, the first time I went, I only been to the penitentiary 2 times. The first time I went to the penitentiary, I was 18 years old, they gave me 110 months for first-degree assault. And I had no felonies, no prior convictions. I was a fresh graduate out of high school. Good. What I did, I should have got that much time. I should have got more than that. But because I didn't have no felonies, the system played with you. But when you become a Muslim, or you go in there and you this is what young angry men think. This is why it's hard for men to accept, black angry men coming into the penitentiary to accept Christianity, because we think it's soft. And we was breeded to be hard in the neighborhoods. So we navigated towards something that was more stronger, because we wanted to be strong, we didn't want to be weak. But what happened is, when you learn the teachings of Islam, you understand the difference. So you got 2 ways you can go. You can go the radical black nationalist way, or you can go the spiritual, real, and you had a choice. Christianity don't give you that choice, we felt. Later on, I found other ways that it does. But as my growth grew, I grew, my understanding grew. But it's an educational thing, it's a difference. It's a big difference. They go in there, they become educated. It's too bad, because it's the truth. I even though I was a valedictorian, I went to college and read it. Because I read things on Aristotle and all types of philosophy just to be reading, because it was just there. I had nothing else to do but read. And it's too bad that the pictures are there, but what you said is absolutely right. That's how it starts.
Just trying to interject here. One of the things that I think that we should take away tonight is that we have been inundated with media stories about how life is and usually the end results of certain criminality. Tonight we have a living being who has a story that is not written by Diane Sawyer or any other network news. And so I'm just thinking that maybe we should ask the question of what are the things that make and the thing that drives an individual in a life that is really underworld, and what are the other components of it. I saw on the news before I left today that they had found a tunnel from Mexico to, did anyone see that? From Mexico to some parts of California. And they learned that there was tons and tons of drugs, marijuana coming out of Mexico. So I'm saying that where is the accountability? Who are those who profit so much by drug trafficking? And here tonight we have a living person who says that he is entrapped by it all, and this is what his life has become. And I was hoping we could have some conversation in that regard, because I think it's a great opportunity. You want to say what?
Yeah, let me help you out a little bit. What the brother is talking about, when he went to prison, black nationalism is a little bit different than the Muslim world, okay? Now, I've seen the Muslim world. I've been to Egypt. I know what it's like, okay? This is talking about Muslim, but under black nationalism, the very first thing you understand, we're not talking Muslim, we're talking Islam. The Muslim is a derivative of Islam, okay? That's when you get off into the Arabic nations where it originated back in Africa. And it begins with the word, I, self, Lord, and Master. That's Islam. I, self, Lord, and Master. I-S-L-A-M. And this is what you were taught under black nationalism. It's when you talk about Allah, it's an I, self, Lord, and Master type thing that we were being taught. And it went like your arm, leg, arm, and head. That's Allah. This is teaching you about the same thing. It's about self. And when you're dealing with self, you become an individual. And this is what's been preyed upon us as an Afrocentric community in the art of division. And if you want to know why that Islam was such a prevalent religion, it was because we were lost. The Afrocentric community was lost about who they were. We didn't know where we come from. We didn't know what country in Africa we come from. We didn't know what our language was, our culture, because under Christianity we had lost our native birthright, which is your language, your religion, your nationality, the place of birth. And all of a sudden, and I'm going to say this facetiously, the people who supplied us into slavery to the Catholicism of Christianity was the Muslim world. They were the one that conquered Africa and supplied us to the demands of Christianity. And let me tell you, Judaism was the one that mediated between the two because the two did not trust each other. And this is what we were taught under black nationalism while we were trying to learn who we were as not a Negro needing to grow no more. We were grown. We were not black, be lacking nothing. We were of the darker persuasion, which means was in the ark of the covenant of God. Now, if you really want me to keep going about this stuff, and how I got here, when these brothers under me, boy, I grew up on, I spent 12 years on Mac, right where your mama was doing her thing, right there on Mac and Mount Elliott in Detroit. I know the game. So I'm just bringing that to you and bringing it to this group here. So, when they brought it to the hood, they brought it to the brothers and the people that y'all may not know through the Godfather movies. When they said, give it to the ends, they're savages anyway. And that's when gangsterism brought it in and put it into the hands of our kids. And that's how they got lost. Let me get off of this. It's very emotional for me because in this very spot, Wendell Phillips High School, junior high school, is the first place, and I come from Arkansas. This is the first place that I was ever called the N-word and called a jungle buddy on this property in Minnesota in 1950. Let me get off of this, young brother. You go on and do it. I'm sorry.
I like the shirt. Thank you. $12 at Target. I got one too. That's what I love it.
Hi, my name is Marvin Smith, and this is my first time here, but I was invited by Colleen, and I'm really excited to really hear what's going on here, especially hear your story, my brother. I really appreciate you really sharing that. There's some comments I want to make about it, but I do want to say, just like Brother Jim helped you, Brother Jim is my mentor, and probably aside from my mother and father, this is a man probably the most responsible for my being here today, because 34 years ago, Mr. Bradford came over to North Minneapolis, got me out of a little one-bedroom apartment on Morgan Avenue, where I had just shot a bag of heroin and drank filthy wild Irish Rose. Took me to MIPCA at that time, Minnesota Institute on Black Chemical Abuse, got me into treatment. That was January 16th, 1978. I've been sober ever since. And so I never, ever will pass up an opportunity to acknowledge this individual that really was key in my transformation from the streets of addiction to, I think, being a really cool human being. Thank you, my brother. A couple of comments I want to make is, we talk about the pants thing. We talk about the culture with our young men, and it's a many layered issue. But the point I want to make is that when we talk about our young men, the only people that I really truly believe that's going to have a pronounced and a long-term effect on these young black boys is black men. I don't think black boys listen to black moms or aunties or grandmamas. I don't think black boys listen to white probation officers, judges, principals, police. I don't think that these individuals rank that high in the lives of these men. I really believe that if there is going to be a change, it's going to have to come from African American men. The other thing that I want to say, and you talk about finding that spirituality that was a life force that changed you. I want to move that over a little bit. I am a recovering heroin addict, and I do volunteer work, and I spent about 25 years doing counseling and chemical dependency. And one of the things that I know about African American people, African American men in particular, is that unlike any other culture or race of people in this country, black folks have what I call a duality of very significant grief issues. One is our cultural grief, which is about our slavery. My wife, who is white with 3 biracial kids, we argue about race all the time. Now, here is a white lady with 3 biracial kids, and she don't even get race. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about race, and it always seems like we miss, there's a reason for that. What white folks don't understand is that it ain't getting over it. It ain't getting over it. I'm successful too. I've only been in jail in my life maybe about 12 days all told, and that was enough to wake me up. I can't do time. I was crying like a baby. Get me out of here, I can't do time. But the point I'm making is that even though I'm successful, I can still be walking down the street. It don't matter. I do wear suits. I do wear nice suits, and I dress up pretty well. I still can encounter that white person. When we meet, I am still perceived as the criminal and the perpetrator, and they always see themselves as the victim. And at 59 years of age, and this happens 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a month, what does that do to erode my self-esteem and the core of who I am? And so that's kind of the racial piece. Then we talk about the whole issue of race and the legacy of slavery. That's that piece. The brother here mentioned out of his 18 friends, he's lost 15 or 16 of them. He talks about the addiction with his mom. He talks about growing up in a home without a father. Those are all grief issues. So I say that for us black people, black men in particular, we all have 10 to 20 to 30 very significant grief issues outside of the racial part. I'm 59 years old, and I can name about 35 or 40 of my friends who I knew, first, last name, went to school with, lived on the same block, that we buried as a result of street violence, black on black crime, homicide, men and women. So, so what I'm saying is, to get that spirituality that the brother talked about, I think it starts by black men acknowledging that we are in so much pain and bleed nothing else. Bleed nothing else. There is no way that you can be an African American man in this country and not feel an incredible amount of grief and loss. You know what I mean? Grief is the emotional, psychological, and mental investment that people make in person, places, things, thoughts, and ideals. So if you define grief like that, think of all the losses that African American people have, especially African American men. We're the most reviled people in America. Yet we fought in every war to liberate other people and came back home and ourselves were not liberated. That was huge grief issues that these very dignified, proud black men went through, but they went through it for a reason. And so I wanted to make that point. The last point I'm gonna make, because I know I'm talking a lot. The last point I want to make is this, is that when we talk about change, one of the things that we all must do is talk about the apathy in the black community, okay? Look, you're not going to liberate me. You're not gonna liberate black boys. You're not gonna liberate us. Our liberation is gonna come from him, and her, and myself. It has to be with black folks making the decision. So, instead of telling that black kid to pull up his pants, I challenge everybody in here to go to your black friends, your co-workers, your relatives, whatever, and say, what the hell are you doing about changing the black community? If you want to hit the nail on the head, do it right there. Don't talk to a black kid about pulling up his pants. Why would he? He's the only cat on the block with his pants pulled up. That serves no purpose to him. He loses his identity. He loses his status. This is one of the only things that he has. You're asking to take his identity. No one here is giving up their identity. Why do you expect a 16-year-old to give up his? So I'm challenging all of you, because if you think about it, this leadership has failed this community. The last thing, the brother talked about in the 60s, we were marching. We had black women 56 years old with their best Sunday dress on, marching in the streets of Alabama with dogs, hoses, and they were there. Fast forward 25 years to the 80s, we allowed, this leadership allowed the judicial system to say, if you're black with crack, we're going to punish you. If you're white with 50 tons of cocaine, we're going to get you treatment. And we watched young black men and women in mass, being locked up. This much crack cocaine, if it 3 times it added up to this much, life, 20 years. Think about it. If you had 4 ounces of cocaine over 3 times, that's life. That's 25 years we gave these young black men and women. That was a failure of leadership on black folks. So again, I'm challenging you to go to every black folk you know that you're close with. Don't just say it to strangers. But the people you know, if you want to start some changes, ask them, what are you doing to change the black community? Because our kids are dying, and none of us gets to sit on the sideline anymore, waiting on the cops, waiting on white folks, waiting on somebody to legislate laws to bail us out of this mess. We're only going to get out of this mess when this black community gets tired. We can embrace them young boys. If you surround that young boy with 5 black men, guess what? When he walks away from that circle,
You'll be right.
eventually. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I know you. We've met before, I think. That, pretty much in a nutshell, that's what my book is about. It's not the tell-all. It's not the 99 problems. It's not going to solve everything. It's just, if you want an insight of why, how it happens, I'm telling it all. And I'm telling it the way I seen it from a youth to now a grown man. And I still have a lot of more years to live, hopefully. A lot of more years to live. So it's a journey for us black men. I love what he said, because this is the problem I deal with every day. The little guys in the neighborhood look up to me because they call me OG, because I've been in the penitentiary. I don't want to glorify that, but this is my connection to them. This is the problem. See what I'm saying? I don't have no other outlet to say, okay, well, if I have to portray this role to get them to come in, then where am I gonna take them to? What am I gonna do with them when I got them? If you're gonna use me in that form, then let's do it the right way. And I feel this is the right way to use me. Everyone talks about the penitentiary or drug dealing. You see the videos, the movies, it's glorified. You know, it's part of pop culture. If you look at some of the words on the TV, they come from us, from me, my crew running around. They're using this pop culture now. So how do we have to use those that want to be used. And just because you don't have a black face means that you cannot help. Get behind someone that wants your help and let them help. And you help them with you going to your community and get them saying, look, check this out over here. Because that's all it takes is a little attention. Because once we got our audience, then we can say to these young black men out here, look, we got something for you now. Come on over here, let's go. But I can't tell them to leave selling crack alone. They're making 80 to 100, $300, $400, $500 a day for nothing. Who am I? This is the struggle that we got.
Let me address one little point and let me help you out, brother man. You know, I'm an old guy too, been your truck, travel your road. But let me just say this to you. When they say, what's going on, OG? I'll tell you what I say. I say, I hope you mean an old godly man, because that's what I am. I am an OG. That's not an old government man, but an old godly man. I'm not an old gangster neither, brother. Now that's the way I bring it back to the young brothers that bring it to me. Now, what I think is maybe confusion for guys in your age bracket is when we were marching, we were having a social revolution. When you guys came up, the social revolution and the passment of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, that meant that you could take all of your social issues to law and get them addressed. When Martin Luther King said, we got to move to economics, and that's when the problem began. And we needed to move to entrepreneurship and maintain it. Listen, man, we got over 100 million Afrocentric people here. When I say Afrocentric, I don't care where you're from. If you're Afrocentric, you're Afrocentric. And we got that many feet here, and we influence that many feet, and we don't own one tennis shoe company. I mean, all them same people got to eat, and we don't own nothing. So let me tell you, and I got to do this, Reverend. Here's what I did, and I'm 71 years old, 71, 72, somewhere, I'm getting to see now. But anyway, I just obtained the oldest Afrocentric Native American cemetery in this country. There is no other, okay? And this right here went through what, I didn't say Indian, listen to me closely, I said Afrocentric Native American. That was here before, I'm not gonna get off into the genetic structure, but according to Lucy, they was here first. That's all I'm gonna tell you about that. That's archaeology, okay? But what I'm gonna say is, now this is what I'm doing. I've got the state, just got a letter here from Historical Society, it's registered on the National Register, it's registered here, and I'm gonna hire 150 people. Because we're gonna build a memorial building to do these pioneers that settled the state of Oklahoma before there ever was a state of Oklahoma, before there ever was what it was, okay? Now those are type of stories that we have to tell about our people because we've been written out of history. And when you tell them stories, feed your own people, some people gonna be mad at you. Especially those who's feeding you and clothing you and supplying the distribution to the things that you use now. If you do it for yourself, I self Lord and Master again, that's not Islam. The first law of nature is self-survival. And once we do our own self-survival, it bothers me as I sit here to go to the north side of Minneapolis. And I'm not a racist, but I'm a realist. And then I don't see one Afrocentric company selling weaves and wigs and barber supplies to the Afrocentric community. I see Asians, I see from somewhere else, wherever, selling it to me what I need. My woman needs this. then why don't I supply it for them? Because somebody else is getting paid and don't circulate no more money back into the hood. See, listen, man, let me bring this economy to you. Those economies, man, I'm gonna use the Jewish community because I got a lot of Jewish friends. Their money circulates 5 times before it leaves the Jewish community. The Afrocentric money don't even circulate once, and it's gone. So how do you expect to grow? You got to circulate. Hey, if I make $100,000, you got the barber shop, you run the car lot, you running this. My money gonna circulate before it go, and I have to go and get parts from whomever, Wong Lo or whomever's making them. I mean, it's just simple, basic economics. So let's fight that war.
Someone else. Hopefully someone that has not spoken yet.
I've already spoken. Aki, during your discussion, let me go back in the time frame. If I understood your second prison sentence, you already knew what you shouldn't be doing, but you did it out of necessity. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who kind of has straightened their life out, but in trying to make good on it because of some of the economic stuff, maybe feels like that's their only recourse? And I think I'm in front of the box, so you come on this way, maybe.
One of the things I learned when I got out, I was on this pro-black righteous mission, and I wanted to come out and save everybody, and forgot to save myself first. And what ended up happening is that I became a very valuable piece of the community. And when I couldn't help no more, I felt like my identity was taken away from me. I got involved in helping the community. And see, what happened was the grant money got snatched from us. Things started getting took from things. So I had people who depended on me who actually turned to me and said, "Man, this brother is doing it, and yeah, we're gonna stand behind you." But then I had no money. I couldn't do anything but talk to them. And I know within my community, we talk is cheap to us. We don't want to hear it no more. So I know, me knowing this, and I'll throw a few names. Spike Moss and a few other people knowing this, they took advantage of that. And they had me rally the troops for the sake. And the troops got mad at me because they believed in me, because they knew I came from the streets. I was from the streets. I'm around them every day. I know their struggle. So what advice that I can give you is, or give anybody that knows someone that's going through that situation, pretty much is to help yourself first. And then once you help yourself, this is what this process is about. I'm helping myself. I'm creating revenue now. I'm going to create money. I'm going to create business, publishing companies, black publishing company, black entertainment company, black DVDs, generating dollars, generating funds. So this way, when the money is there, now I can advocate it to, I don't have to write a grant. I don't have to go depend on someone to, and that's what the whole thing is. You go get a job with a felony if you can get one. You can get one. It's not enough to take care of your bills, though. I'm gonna tell you that right off the bat. You gotta get 3 jobs. Yeah, but it's okay though. We gotta understand that it's okay. We come from a fast life. My generation is fast. Instant coffee, microwave. Instant coffee, McDonald's drive-thru. So you just gotta be patient and just really just be patient, pretty much, and humble yourself.
So what you're saying is capitalism, you gotta go from a program mentality to a capitalistic mentality and get your own money.
See, what you do when you're in prison, you dream. You dream a lot, because that's all you got is dream. And they put you in the release programs, but they really don't know where you're going back to. It's just a model that they come up with. And when you get in your release, you don't know that this felony is gonna go. That's one thing, if anybody in this room should fight for, is lifting felonies from jobs. If you do that, I swear to, it would change a whole lot quickly. If we can go and apply for jobs and I can compete with you as just like me, because I got a bachelor's degree and I can't get a good job because of all my felonies. But if you take them felonies away, we can compete. I might take your job. But that's what I'm saying. These are the things. This is what these discussions are for. This is what I love about these type of things, because so much stuff get put out there. But if you take felony convictions away from job, from employment, but then you won't have no insurance for your company.
I just have a quick comment. It's not really a question, and it seems kind of negative, and he's pushing me to say it. But, and you already kind of discussed this, so I don't really want to just rehash, but when you were first reading your story, or when you were telling us about your education, valedictorian, yada yada, I wrote down a comment. I said, if someone as intelligent as you, business savvy, charismatic, et cetera, contacts, connections, whatever, can go in, serve time, get out, work, go straight, successfully, again, make contacts, blah, 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 and then throw it away again, and I know you explained it, I am not trying to make a defense thing here, but oh my God, where's the hope? I mean, you got a lot more skills than the average kid that we talked to here before, so that's why I say it's a comment, it's just rhetorical, it's sad, it's depressing for me.
The hope is the reality. You wake up, bills, it's electricity, water, gas, stuff that's supposed to be free that we got to pay for now. So it's like hope for a better life. I want to drive too. I don't want to catch the bus no more. I mean, it's so much stuff. But with my situation was more because I found something great and I wanted to keep doing it. And I didn't want to let nobody down. I actually had a program called Life After Life, and I had youth. And the program was set up to teach them music business, not going there and make beats and rap. I didn't want to do that. I wanted them to learn behind the scenes where the real money is. And I had that program going on for 1.5 years. And they pulled me because Wells Fargo wouldn't sign over on a loan because I was a felon. And I didn't want to give up my power and have a board of directors. I wasn't going to do it. So, but it's many things, but I understand, you're right, because I said the same thing. If you notice, what did I do? Man, how did that happen? It spins so fast. When it starts spinning, it's like an addiction. Street life is an addiction also. It really is. It's a stage you got to go through to break it.
My question is about, in your own experience when you were in school, and as well as when you're dealing with some of the other young men that you're working with, what could schools be doing differently to help support the youth?
I feel they should have class once a week outside of school. Real life things. When them kids come in as class, 9 out of 10, most teachers might not know what's going on at home. Everyone want to hide the reality of what's going on in our communities. It has to be addressed really, really bad. And what do the schools need to do? Pay attention. Don't see, people think by calling DSL, the department, the different people involved in the live, these agencies and stuff like that really don't help. That really, when you go back home, that creates a division. See, there's different worlds going on within our own world, within our own country. Your culture and my culture, we think differently. You might think one way about one thing, I think different. We all got to be on the same accords when it comes to our children. And the thing about schools is, even though I was a valedictorian, they didn't know what was going on at home. They only honored me and respect me and lift me up at school. And when the bell rang and I walked out of them doors, life did change. So school was an escape, but it wasn't the savior. So it's like, I think people have a guilty conscience, and they should, but at the same time, all you gotta do is just help. Don't criticize, just help. See what I'm saying? That's all we have to do. And the school was the biggest problem, because I learned, but I wasn't taught. And I think they need to change the way I learned ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, but I wasn't taught what to do with that stuff. And I think that's probably one of the problems to me.
In the interest of somebody who hasn't yet spoken,
Yes, I'm going to make a comment. This is my first evening here tonight, and I'm a teacher for Minneapolis Public Schools, and I taught for 9 years at a school that's not open now called the Work Opportunity Center, or WOC. This school was an alternative high school for kids that were dropouts. And what we did different there is we brought the community to us right within our school day, right within the classroom. We brought Mary Gaines, my friend. We brought different people that were representative of all cultures, and it made it a real inclusive environment. And we had all different representation from the college community to come. So it was people really caring in their hearts that were there for our kids. We had a higher graduation rate than North High School at that time, with both statistics and with kids graduated. Because of money and because of our economy right now, and because of the fear, I think, that's in the community, where people are looking at teachers, what they're not doing, that there's a whole different new paradigm out there that needs to shift. We need to come to unite with one another and realize the gifts that every person has to give to children. And in doing that, it brings a whole different feeling of success. The African American Male Project was started by my kids at the WOC when we brought different people from the community in to hear my kids' stories. When I was hearing how they were writing and telling me these things about how they were riding their bike and someone would come up to them and want to, or what you're doing, and they would get, what you're talking about with your stories, I have heard over and over again. I encourage kids to write and to share their stories. And I also want to say that most kids that I had in my class, I would do random polls of kids. Most of them were honor roll students when they were in early elementary years. And I would say, I know, I see this good, this beauty in you. You were an honor roll student, weren't you? And they go, Ms. Yukon, how would you know? And it would be so apparent by the gifts that they had. And I think that every person has that potential in believing in children. And I, as a white lady, I just know, actually 2 people came to me, found me on LinkedIn and said, Ms. Yukon, I am so worried about the kids these days. Can I come with you and we can bring that school back? I don't know if there would be support in our community for that now, but that's really what I believe is a collaborative effort through, and it's a soul thing. I was at WC's second floor. I would pray to the angels in the trees to bring the right people to my room. And I've had people come that I never knew, but they were the right people for my kids. We worked with we had different inmates come. Actually, the Stillwater prison even let people come into my building that never had ever been out, that came and talked to the kids. Anyway, I just had to make all that comment about there is hope with our schools.
Well, first of all, Bill Keats has been trying to get me over here. I've been out of town most of the time, and it's just knocking my socks off. I got so tremendous respect for you folks. It's about 8 years ago, I opened up a newspaper on a Saturday morning, and I read a story about a young black man who was killed in a car accident coming down in St. Paul, coming down the hill down towards Highway 61. His mother was in there, and they described her, and I don't know, God just told me to give her a call. I actually wrote a letter because I lost a friend that was the same age. And it started to really, and you've explained so much to me, because I've got Nora, whom I got to be very good friends with. She passed away last year, and one of the reasons is because of some of the insurance issues and things. She's always trying to work part-time, that sort of a thing. She's a diabetic, and she actually told me that she would go into websites, get a month's worth of diabetic pills, and then go to another one and keep doing that. She died, she died of a heart attack. Now, so anyway, her oldest son had died, the mentor to the younger one. And you've explained so much, because I love this kid. And I just, I know I can't be, quote, his mentor, but I'm not gonna let whites off the hook. When I walk into Ramsey County courthouse, and he's standing next to me, and everybody else is there without any white with them, you better believe things change. So I can't, get in there and culturally, give him that thing that you guys can. I can't, but I've watched him with some of his relatives. I go to their family gatherings, and they're there. They've got a guy named Eric who's an executive at Procter & Gamble down in Cincinnati. But they've got the whole spectrum, but they have some hope. So I'll say, I guess it's been awesome to get in the historical perspective. I've never understood, what you were talking about, I've never understood that perspective. And it just changed everything. No. So I thank you so much, and you've helped me so much with my friend Jeremy. I now know kind of what my role is, and I know what I can do and what I can't. And I just thank you so much. Thanks for the courage to be here.
The clock on the wall said we have to go, but we're going to hear Sister Liz.
We have Jim Bransford here, who was an elder in the black community, very well thought of, esteemed, and has worked so hard all of his life in terms of helping with chemical issues and black men and so forth. I think he ought to have an opportunity to say a few words if he would like.
By the way, Jim, you're in here.
I'm always a little chagrined with these kind of events. I try to not be seen and even less be heard. The great piece that you mentioned, you have to do it one person at a time. And one of my great memories, the work that I've done over the last almost 40 years, is taking people to WOC. You didn't know that, but it was a great place to take people who felt like there was no hope. I would disagree with Marvin only on a couple of things that he has done broadly and narrowly exactly the very thing that he said we need to do by his example, because people knew what he was. He was a person with great talent who was going down the drain fast. But me and another colleague of mine who's now passed on said, you can do better. And all the time he's done since that time, he's set that example. The cameraman was another candidate, I guess, for want of a better term. I don't know what else to call him. Mary Gaines sent me to see I don't even know how I found Mary Gaines or she found me. She was in a little single room over in the Diggs Midway building, fresh out of the joint. Want somebody to help her. I didn't know what even to do to help her, but I became her friend. And she gave me the title of mentor. A multitude of those things have been part of what has typified my life. The part of it that keeps me level-headed, I guess, is that another star in my constellation that I had helped to bring about got 2 lives just about 2 months ago as he beat his wife to death with a baseball bat in the presence of his kids. And he was a kid that I came here from New York. I put him in programs. He did well. I helped him get certified. I did all of the things, and he got off of his program. It does happen. He had more talent than you could think of. So back to the lady who questioned why he did what he did, he knew it was wrong even then. But you make those moves that at the moment look like the appropriate moves. But you continue to, for me at least, one person at a time. I didn't know whether Marvin was going to make it past Tuesday. He probably didn't either. But we had a program with Marvin when he was mad at the program he was in, he could come, and we literally would let him stand on the soapbox and holler and act crazy. Just don't get high and don't commit any more crimes. And that part of it he understood. point that this gentleman just made. I'm retired now, but I was in court twice this week, and I got good deals for 2 separate people. And now, what they do with the good deal, it's up to them. One was an older Somali woman, one was a young black woman. I didn't know either one of them 2 months ago. It didn't cost me but what, a couple hours? Now, I don't expect them to give me a whole bunch of praise, but if they don't get back in trouble again, that's praise. Amen. What Marvin is doing now is, he says, boy, you weren't smart, you were just lucky you found Marvin. Again, I didn't know, black young people in the north side. What do I know what he's going to do? Look at him now. A piece that I just found out about a year ago, one of these biracial daughters he's got is an honor roll student at the college that I came here 57 years ago to go to. So, what connections do we make here? I don't know what they are, but they're better than bad. They're good.
When we was this,
so thank you.
I don't even need a mic. I met him real quick. I know about it. I met him with Mary Gaines. Mary Gaines, I supposed to have been doing graphic designs for Mary Gaines because I do graphic designs, video production, music video commercial. But she wanted me to do her campaign stuff, and a lot of people was coming to help Mary, but really wasn't nobody trying to stand with her. So everyone quit except for me and another young lady. Mr. Bradford used to come by and give us assistance, stuff like that. But me and Mr. Bradford used to talk. He found out I was doing music. Found out his daughter was an entertainment lawyer. So that was like, wow, that was right on my nose. Like, yeah, she worked with Prince too. Wow, yes, Mr. Bradford. I stayed on the corner. Yeah. And when I got in trouble, he was the only one that helped me. Out of all them people, him and Mary was the only one that came and helped me and tried to do anything for me. And that's what made me write this book and made me get out and do something different because I don't need nobody's help. I can do it by myself. All I gotta do is just help. Just like he did. All he did was just help. You don't know, he didn't know what was gonna come out of it. That dude, somebody to tell his story.
Thank you. Any announcements, Bill? Any announcements? 2 weeks. 2. Okay. Fourth Thursday at St. Olaf. For those that don't know where St. Olaf is, it is across from the Minneapolis Club, 3rd and 8th Street. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you can take something with you. That should be easy.
My daughter is in town. She's relocated here. She's licensed in Minnesota, New York, and California. She passed the bar in all 3 places.
I know we were out because we went out to New York because I talked to her.
And she's just doing her CLU right now. Should be finished within about 2 weeks, and she's going to join one of the bigger law firms and bring them. Basically, she's going to be bringing them and entertaining them. They're hiring her on not as a